Lala has yet to acknowledge the part she played in the way the audience, the cast handled and treated the Randall situation. I thought at the season 9 reunion, she was going to come in and say, I know I would yell and scream at you guys that he was a stand-up man, and I would tell any of you to fuck off if you tried to tell me anything other than good things about Randall. But that was my survival tactic. I was brainwashed into believing this person. And so, yeah, I really regret a lot of things I did and said in that at that point in time. I was in a dark place. I was in a bad relationship, whatever. We would have embraced her. So would the cast, by the way. But she never says that. Lala, you have yet to say, this is what I was doing. This is why you guys couldn't tell me, because you actually had the nerve to say at the season 9 reunion, you all should have told me. And they're like, and when they said you would yell and scream at us if we did, she was like, well, you should have tried. Okay. Okay. But give us a little bit of you going, I know. But she gives us none of that. And then for her to be like, I didn't get to dictate. Yes, you did. You literally did. You no call, no show to your shift at SUR. And you were supposed to go on that trip in the RV with Ariana for her birthday and the Toms and Jax and all them. And you just didn't. You just totally ditched the rest of the season. And then you came back and asked for your job back and had to eat crow and all that. But like you came back. You came back. So you've absolutely dictated. We just have we take turns dictating. All right. So we got a lot to cover. We got a lot of ground to cover. We have got the reunion final part, obviously. Then Ariana went on Katie and Dana's podcast, which was, look, it was some queen shit because, she paid them nothing. Lala and Sheena and everyone. But it was a little bit boring. I'm not going to lie. Because it was like so healthy and so together. I'm like, all right, well, that's not really reality TV. Like, I kind of, you know what I mean? Like, what's that? Anyway, Lala's podcast, though, at the end of Lala's last podcast, or at least the one I listened to, she has a message for us. We'll listen to it together. We also have the never before scenes. And the after show to me was a bunch of fluff. So there was nothing to really talk about. Because I've got so much to get through with this, I will do 2 episodes of The Valley next week, since The Valley next week is the finale. So I'll just cover this week's Valley over next week because there's a lot to get through with Vanderpump. Okay? All right, let's get into it. All right, let's start with this reunion. James and Sandoval have a segment, and I really hate to say it, but I just don't care. I don't. They said stuff, and I'm like, whatever. Okay, none of it matters. Tom starts to get a little defensive per usual, but then he just kind of caps it with like, okay, yeah, I mean that, whatever, I don't care. But Andy moves into Ariana's segment, the segment about like Ariana, how she processed things, etc. And he's giving examples of what the cast said, which is interesting because I'm like, is this the first time Ariana's going to be hearing it? One of the things, though, is Andy goes, Lala said, holding on to hate and anger is like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. And then he gives another example. But James whispers, he's like, Shakespeare. I'm like, that's such a common phrase. He thought Lala like invented that. He's like, wow, damn. Like, James. It's very AA too. It's a very AA phrase. Shakespeare, he said. So Andy says to Ariana, what do you have to say to people who think you should have moved on by now? Ariana says, well, by now is March 2024. This is summer of 2023. I swear to God. Okay. Remember when Ariana and Katie went on Watch What Happens Live the most recent time? And I noted that Andy had a different energy. It didn't track with the energy he's been bringing. It feels like his narrative whenever he doesn't Watch What Happens Live. I think I've talked about this on the show. And that Watch What Happens Live with Katie and Ariana, it felt like he was really driving their narrative, which was like, and yeah, remember, this was only 3 months after it happened. I'm like, yeah, you haven't been talking like that this whole time. While the show was airing, you haven't had this energy. And so here at the reunion, he also has the you should have moved on by now bit. It's like Andy was in meetings with the producers. I know he's technically not a producer, but it's like he knew what everyone was saying. Everyone was very resentful with Ariana because after she got cheated on, she thinks that she's so cool that she can say she's not going to film with Tom Sandoval. But guess what? It's in your contract. Well, guess what? She filmed with Tom Sandoval. So I feel like they collectively, as the network, didn't like Ariana. But then Ariana did such a beautiful, sweet job at the reunion. And what are they gonna get mad at her for? Like, what did she do? She showed up, she's here. She is a little detached. She is a little disconnected. We find out when she goes on Katie's podcast. She says that I literally flew in, stayed at Katie's, and then flew back the next day to do 2 shows. So she was very busy. She was very like, what a weird thing to just plop yourself back into. Like her world right now is wow. Okay. The more I'm thinking about that, that's so crazy. She's like doing the thing she loves the most. And then she has to go back and film the reunion where she didn't know that all these people had been saying all the things. She did say she saw clips and whatever online, but still, she didn't see the scope of it, which is crazy. It still cracks me up that Sheena's like, I really wish you had seen more of it because there were like longer conversations. I'm like, were there? Yeah, they weren't, but they didn't like make us understand you more. If anything, they were worse. She's like, I wish you would have watched that. I'm like, I don't know. I don't. But here's what Ariana has to say when he asks, what would you say to these people about moving on? Ariana says, well, by now it's March 2024. She goes, and I think the only way past it is through it. Yes, if in a year from now I'm in this place, by all means. I know those comments come from a place of concern and care, but the only way I was ever going to get anywhere was to fully process and let myself feel it. And then she cried. I'm like, thank you. I mean, hi, guys. Like, you were expecting her to be over it when Lala, are you over it? Are you? You know, she's crying. That's when she cries. The sound of her voice is so sad. She says, last summer was really difficult. And even though it came from a place of care, I felt like I was being pushed to be further along than I was ready for. And then Andy Cohen segues to Jax and Brittany. And I'm like, what the fuck? Get their thoughts on that. Because they all were having these conversations about her, but not to her, with her. She just said a response to all of the things. And you just, let's talk about Jax and Brittany. No. Is it because you have not, like, what can they say to that? I'm just blown away. Sheena, any thought? Lala, what do you say to that? Hello? I hate, I hate the way Tom Sandoval keeps making dirty jokes and then laugh because Andy will get like a little kick out of it. And then the way Tom like snickers and laughs. Oh, he's so proud of himself. Because when they're talking about Jax and Brittany, Andy asks Tom, what is the status of your relationship with Jax now? And I'm not even going to repeat the joke because it's so stupid. And Andy's like, oh, okay, right. And Tom loves it. Tom's like, oh, I'm such a dirty birdie. I'm like, ooh. See, I'm like, now I'm starting to think Tom and Andy have some secrets or something. I don't know. Andy asks Katie about the Jax cheating rumors, and Sheena tries to pass it off. She's like, well, I heard it from Katie and Lala was just like in the group. And she's like, well, I figured like Brittany has Jax's password and access to his phone. Katie's like, this isn't like texting, like whatever. This is going to the bar, having sex in the bathroom. And James, for some reason, goes so hard on Sheena. I don't know if it's just weird editing, but he's like, he doesn't have time to text Sheena. It's not that hard to figure out. He's like, he looks at Katie like, this idiot over here. Why was he so, they must have cut out a bunch of shit, but I don't care because that was so funny. Sheena must have been like, well, no, but like she could check his phone. And they're like, no, that's not it. And that's why James chimed in because it seemed like kind of out of nowhere. But he thought she was so stupid, though. It's like, it's not that hard to figure out. Lala tells her story about Brittany calling her mom. It's her mom. Because like, did you really hire our nanny without us asking? And Jax is getting me all riled up and whatever. But the part that I need to point out is when Lala goes into her black scent yet again. And she goes, my mama would have slapped this hoe. But then she goes into a British accent. 63-year-old woman getting questioned by Kentucky Muffin. Can you imagine? Who this woman needs to find a personality. So she goes into her black scent telling this story and then switches over to a Lisa impersonation. Lala, get it together. Andy asks Brock, you said you've seen Sandoval be a better friend to Sheena than Ariana has been. What have you seen? And this is what Brock answers. The question was very specific. What have you seen? And he says, I think Sheena has really fought with a lot of the women in here from the beginning. Well, that's interesting because I'm pretty sure you acted like you didn't watch the show when you were in that after show with James, acting like you didn't know him and Kristen were a thing. Okay. And the one person that I've seen firsthand is Sandoval. He has been there having her back. I've seen her fight for a 15-year friendship and a 10-year friendship and be stuck in the middle and get torn apart online by people that aren't in this room. What the fuck? How could you seriously? So you haven't watched the fucking show, clearly, then, because Ariana has been there for Sheena. Tom and Sheena have gotten into it too. I don't want to hear it. Over the years, they've all had their stuff. Like, stop it already. But anyway, then and the part I care about is that Andy goes, Ariana, your response. And she says, we all get torn apart online. Lesson learned is stay out of the comment section. But seriously. And if you genuinely haven't watched this show, even though you're acting like an expert on this, go back and please watch so that you can get the history of this group of friends. Okay? Thanks a lot. But then Ariana reminds him that everything you're saying is totally true, but I have always supported Sheena. And Sheena's like, no, she has. And then she goes, but she's busier than ever. And even before the season started, I felt a distance. And Ariana admits that she isolates. And she says, I do isolate. That's my fault. That is my fault. And she's like, no, yeah. And like I know good friends of yours who like you're close with that say that you do the same thing. Interesting. So I guess it seems like maybe it's not personal and maybe you shouldn't have then therefore read into it and started to go, I think she's changed. Her ego's getting big. All this shit you were talking with Lala. Because we know you all had been talking so much shit. You, Brock, and Lala have been talking all this shit about Ariana. And that's why Lala's pissed off. Because she wants all of you to say that to her face. Anyway. Andy asks Ariana what are the things that Sheena said that hurt her. And when Sheena said that Tom was more sad about their friendship than Ariana, that hurt her. And here's Sheena's response. Well, I was asked that question. Yeah, but you answered and your answer was hurtful. Out of context, not in context. And then she's like, and that's the thing when you haven't watched the show, like you're watching clips on TikTok and it's hard to get the full perspective. As she's saying that, Ariana's like, yeah, no, okay, you're right. Ariana's like, I'm above this. It's untouchable, honestly. It really is. And then Andy asks if Sheena any chance you had any feelings of jealousy? Now, why can't she just say yes? There's something so liberating about going, yeah, oh my God, I am so jealous. It's really hard. I love you, Ariana, but I am like 90% jealous of you, 10% happy. I do that with people all the time. My friend got an opportunity not too long ago, and I'm like, I am 60% jealous of you, 40% happy. And that is a good margin for this, considering jealousy runs in us. I tend to be a jealous person. I know this about myself. It's not easy. It sucks. Even knowing it about me, it's like, but here I go, comparing a lot. And so how liberating would it be for Sheena if she was just like, yeah, I guess I do. I guess I am a little jealous. But she's like, call me a pick me. I do like that validation, not just from men, from my friends. And I just didn't want her to forget about me. I wanted to be on the journey with her. Okay, so you got the Uber Eats deal or whatever that was, and then that how much time could there possibly be? A month goes by and I don't see my best friends. Like it just happens. It's life. She was busy. So that's what gave you this impression. Like, but clearly Ariana does this because even Lisa Vanderpump says that. Even Lisa Vanderpump says that sending Ariana a text doesn't always mean a response. At this point, I'm starting to think it's intentional with Lisa because Lisa is a snake. Okay, Andy says to Brock, you defended Sandoval the most this season. Why? And then Brock says a bunch of bullshit. But then Andy asks how Ariana feels about Brock after all of that with Sandoval. And Ariana once again, she says, my opinion of Brock does not change because I think that since the day that you guys got together, I've just seen you as this person. I think you have a great perspective on a lot of things and I understand where you come from. And you actually helped me a lot this summer. So get his response. What did he say? What's his response to that? And he just moves along. He goes to, okay, Katie, let's ask how do you feel Sandoval contributed to your divorce? I'm like, no. What are you doing? Does Brock have an opinion on that? Ariana, how did he help you this summer? I really wanted to know. How did he help you this summer? You don't ask that question? What the fuck? Just keep it moving. I don't understand. What the hell? So then Andy asked Katie about Sandoval and the divorce, whatever. And she's like, you just didn't like me. And Tom goes, it felt like the opposite, to be honest. And our relationship went south when you got involved in Schwartz and Sandy's. I'm so sure. It was a fucking mess prior to that. Nice try, though. Nice try, sir. But no. No. And then Sandoval goes, it really hurts to have you diminish me to a subhuman thing that doesn't deserve love. And Katie says, well, I don't think you treated me very humanely. So, and Sandoval, Katie, how do you think you treat people on a regular basis? I mean, honestly, and right there. And that's the narrative you created for her. And he's used to saying it. That's the narrative he created for Katie. He goes into it without even thinking. He completely deflects. This is about your contribution to her divorce. And now it's, Katie, you treat everyone terribly. And unfortunately, you're in a group of people that will validate that. Like Lala is in the mood to validate that, even though Lala has no business saying shit about treating people bad. And then Sheena's going to be like, I mean, I've had all my issues with Katie. So, yeah. But Katie's response, she goes, well, when people want to play in my face, I'm going to treat them exactly like how I see it. I don't know. Choke. I don't care. It was so elegant. That choke. I'm like, choke. Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's sinister. I love that. I went to a Memorial Day barbecue yesterday and I got to bring my new favorite non-alcoholic beverage, hop water. So I'm a sparkling water girl. This is sparkling hop water. It has 0 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and it tastes delish. The ruby red grapefruit is my favorite, but they've also got blood orange, mango, lime. But the other really fun part is that they're actually crafted with mood boosting things, adaptogens, nootropics. Needless to say, I turned a lot of my former beer drinking friends into big hop water fans. They missed having beer and non-alcoholic beer. Sure, that's a thing, but this tastes good and it has the mood boosting benefits. And I don't know if it's just psychosomatic, but all of us were like, I feel it. Don't you feel like you're in a great mood? Trust me, hop water is the perfect beverage to enjoy all year long. I know you'll love it too. For a limited time, my listeners get 20% off your first purchase, plus get free shipping when you order 24 cans or more. Order now at my exclusive URL to get this offer, hopwater.com/she speaks. That's HOPWTR.com/she speaks. Don't wait. Go now to hopwater.com/she speaks. Andy tries to make Dan not participating in group activities a thing. You know, he's like, so he comes to San Francisco. He doesn't film with the group. I'm like, well, he did. He filmed. He just wasn't going to hang out with Tom Sandoval. And I think that is a very healthy, smart thing to do. But Ariana's because Andy kind of keeps poking. And so Ariana finally goes, well, he's not getting paid. And Andy's like, well, Brock. And then Ariana just goes, different strokes, meaning, well, he doesn't want to do the show. And look at Brock. This man wants to do the show. Look at him. So Dan doesn't want to do the show. Okay. And he's okay, move on. There's a very sweet segment with Katie and Schwartz. I don't even know what the prompt was. I posted the clip on social media because I was crying my little face off. It was just sweet to hear Schwartz. He gets emotional saying like, oh yeah, no, I still love Katie. Oh, that's what it was. Andy's like, Lala thinks that you look at Katie forlornly and that she's the one that got away. Is there any truth to that? And Schwartz is like, I still love Katie, but we've made the right decision. But then he gets emotional. He's like, we spent 13 years together and, you know, I don't look at it as a failure. And then Katie, she gets emotional and she goes, yeah, no, I know. It was the best. When she said she didn't look back on it with regret, that made me feel really happy for her. Because I look back on my long relationship with nothing but regret. I wish I could take back the day I met that man. But I love that she doesn't have that feeling because this is immortalized on television. So that made me feel good to know that she's totally at peace with it and that they can have just this mutual respect for each other. And she knows she's not going to cross. She's not trying to dip back in. I saw people being like, don't fall for it with Schwartz. I'm not falling for anything. Okay. I'm not falling for anything. I thought it was a sweet moment. And some people need to calm down in the comments sometimes. Okay. You know who you are. Andy asks Ariana he said, why do you feel Sheena kept talking to you about the genuine emotions she was feeling from Sandoval? And did it annoy you? Sheena's like, it annoyed me watching. And Ariana's like, well, this is the first time that any of us have gone through something like this. So where's the learning curve here? Annoying? Yeah, maybe a little. So, okay, it's perfection. This response is perfect. She goes, look, none of us have ever navigated this before. So there's a learning curve here. Was it a little annoying? Yeah, I'll be honest. And then so she owns up to it. No notes. No notes. Then they play the clip, the finale, the final part of it. Sheena's face throughout this was so hilarious. She was so busted. She was so freaked out. And then at the end, when Tom says, it's good for me, Ariana just goes, exactly. This was actually quite intense to watch. Katie says it on the podcast. It felt like it was just mean. It was just mean for Ariana. Like that was the only intention. That's how pissed off you guys are at her. And they're like, Ariana's not even watching the season. They're like, well, let's make everyone watch it together. And it's also kind of a fuck you from there's Jeremiah telling them, let it all out, say what you feel, talk about how annoyed you are with Ariana. They film it and then they make them watch it together. Like you really set them up. Even the people that you were it seemed like you were siding with. Not like Tom Sandoval gives a shit, but making them watch it together after he encouraged them to talk, it was weird. It was kind of cruel. Like, what did Ariana do to you guys? Put a boundary up that yeah, I guess in reality TV land, it doesn't normally happen, but it actually does. It actually totally does. Like they've all filmed adjacent to each other with an ex, but not like been in the same scene or whatever. But she also did still film scenes and like have fights with them and stuff. So anyway, but now, so Ariana is crying and says, I'm not here for him putting on the waterworks. And then here comes Tom. You know me well enough to know that this isn't acting. You know me well enough to know. So he starts out angry. But that's such a dumb thing to say. You know me well enough to know. You're saying that to Ariana, the person that you lied to for 7 months, that just for this affair, by the way, and led like a double life. And you think that you're going to say, but you know me, you know my real heart. And she's going to go, you're right. I do. For the millionth time. Exactly. She knows you. Therefore, she knows it's acting. I'm a broken record. I know, but literally she knows you. Therefore knows it's acting. Okay. And then when Ariana cries and goes, I don't, though. I don't. Tom's like, I'll cry too. He's like, you knew me. You knew me, Ariana. Pathetic. Ariana goes, I don't believe that. And when you didn't get what you want, what you said about me trying to triangulate, I'm like, oh, this bitch knows how narcissists work because that's exactly what he did. He's like, she's been saying I'm acting, I'm performing. Guess what? I'm going to go blow this shit up. Tom goes, you were saying that about me this whole summer. And Ariana goes, what the fuck was I going to say about you this summer? Why would me, have anything other than that? Tom goes, you know that's not true. What's not true? You keep saying, you know that's not true. That's like brainwashing. You know that's not true. You know it. Don't you know that? You know it. No, I'm saying the opposite. I know it is true. Mariana, one more time. Why would I have said anything other than that this summer, given what I had been through 3 months beforehand? I didn't do anything to you. And now, mind you, as she's talking, Tom is talking. They're talking over each other. And here's what Tom is trying to do. You pretended like we were all good and dandy. And we weren't. So Tom is literally going to, of course, do the speech he had prepared. And part of the speech was, you have pretended like we are all fine and great when we were not. Okay, you said that like 100 times, but you pretend? I didn't feel like I was pretending. You were Okay, well, you were pretending, Ariana. You were pretending. Like, so just saying that sentence really fucking pisses me off. Pisses me off. Ariana gets the painful, I just want you away from me. I just want you gone. And I don't want to be in a position where I'm being forced. Tom cuts her off, but that is our job. And I'm sorry, I did come to you off camera numerous times. Ariana's like, okay, well, remember right after San Francisco, there I was in the kitchen. You were in the living room. That was an opportunity for you to say whatever you had to say in San Francisco. You could have said then, and you didn't. And he's like, but that's the thing. It's always having the one conversation with the one person you don't want to have it with. Like Lala said, this is what we do. Proving that like he's just been setting up these conversations back to back to back over the years. He's like, this is what we do. I wait until we get on camera and I say something that's going to ruin someone's life. That's what I do. Duh. Ariana's, I'm not in a place to have a conversation with you. And that last thing, it's good for me. It's right there. I was about to be used. Thank you, girl. You got it. This was going to be his crying in Miami moment. Exactly. So the producers must hate her because she's on to all of their tricks. They're like, no, it wasn't. Damn it. We do. We set these up for Tom. We give Tom these moments and these opportunities to have these scenes. Tom keeps going with the, you know me, Ariana, you know me, you know me. And Katie finally chimes in and she's like, look, it's the living a double life thing. Like that's, Ariana's like, yeah, that part. So I'm sorry that that's something you have a hard time with, but that is the consequences of your actions towards me. And Tom, once again, obviously our relationship wasn't perfect. Ariana goes, I am not going to rehash our relationship. I'm not rehashing our relationship. You literally just did. You just tried it. Ariana goes, because I know it wasn't perfect. How could it be? And then Tom does say, I just want to say to you, I am sorry. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I know you don't want to be around me, but whatever the good, the bad, the ugly in our relationship, you didn't deserve that. And I'm really sorry from the bottom of my heart. I regret it every day. I wear it as a badge of shame. I did the thing that I said I would never do to you. See, this is some good dialogue for him. He's been practicing. It's like you really, if you truly meant this, should have said this so many times to Ariana. This right here, this conversation you're having should be one of like 100 things, 100 times you've had this conversation. You should have been able to say, I'm so sorry, you did not deserve that right away. But you have been mad at her this whole time. And now, magically, even though just this season, just here earlier in the reunion, you've been saying shit about her. So you don't get this moment because you could have taken it. And Ariana could have told us, I do believe he is sorry. And we would have believed her. You don't need this moment it's just for the audience. And then Ariana goes, you also brought a fucking person into both of our lives in a very fucked up way. And this bitch fucking has to talk about me all the time. You did that. You did that. And I just want to be away from you. And then Tom, okay, I understand. Then it's weird. Tom goes, I understand. I wish you the best. We'll figure everything out. We've got our lawyers. Don't worry about it. I understand. Don't worry about what? Don't worry about what? What does that mean? What you talking about? What does that mean? Then Andy's like, okay, well, I also would like to know, how do you feel about what Lala said? And the way Ariana's voice sounds when she's crying, she's like, it hurts my feelings a lot. Lala's just like, well, I don't care. Ariana goes, I was trying so hard and I feel like it's our job to live our lives and I'm living authentically by walking away from that. And now Schwartz chimes in and says, actually, the walk-off was well earned. The walk-off was well earned. Thanks. Ariana goes, I could have done it for the show, but I think our show thrives when things are fully real, or I don't think our show, whatever. And that would not have been real on my part. Lala, what you got? Andy then asks Sheena how she feels watching this. And she says something about understanding Lala's frustrations and wanting to be there for her. And Lala goes, but I granted my ex is not on the show. When he did what he did, I was questioned. Well, you probably should have known. Sorry about the 7-month-old that you're fighting for, but you shoved him down our throat. So why did you do that if you hate him so bad now? Oh, okay. So you just took all of the things that you were hearing from the audience during that time that was going on with you, season 9, and now you're like letting it all out. Like, so you're true. We get it now. Like, you literally just laid it all out there. You have trauma from when you went through your stuff, and that was the audience feedback. And now you're like, I had to hear all of this, and it's on the ready. You got it right there. I had to hear, oh, and now you shoved him down our throats and whatever. And then she's like, Tom was shoved down my throat for so many fucking years. And when all of this happened, as much as I'm grateful that Ariana is not experiencing what I experienced, I'm a little fucking annoyed. And it was wild to me that, okay, she says I'm a little fucking annoyed at who? The audience? Once again, I'm so sorry that you're different people. I'm so sorry that when you went through what you went through, you were an asshole throughout the whole relationship and even in the breakup, honestly. But people were confused because it seemed like you had to have known. Like, you had to have known Randall was a fucking creep. But if you didn't know, and it was really a shock to you, how come you can't go, I can't believe that I told you guys it was a perfect con for him because he knew I would be like, don't talk about my man. And he would tell me, don't let people talk about me and all this shit. And I feel bad for that. But there's no acknowledgement of that. So she's annoyed that the audience responded to Ariana because that Ariana didn't deserve it. We thought you kind of knew about Randall. Do we think you deserved it? No. But you're annoyed that she got different feedback because she's a different person and you're not taking any ownership for why it's different. And then she goes, and it was wild to me that I was seeing that everybody has certain things about the way that Ariana, or has said certain things about the way Ariana has changed. Now I'm like, I know you're talking about Sheena. But then when she tries to pull Katie into it, once again, I was like, I'm going to fucking kick your ass. And she goes, and I tried to convey this to her, and I would get shut down by who? Ariana listened to you. She listened to you and took in what you said the time you talked to her about saying something on behalf of Sheena. And then she goes, and I felt isolated because no one else wanted to speak up on this. And I really felt like I was having conversations by myself. I enjoy filming the show. The show has offered me a platform, blah, blah, blah. Thank you very much. And she says, I know that people want to say that all these accomplishments are just from this one scandal, but this is from years of hustle or whatever. And then she says, however, I will be damned if one person doesn't step up to the plate so that at least if you don't give a fuck about your position on the show because you're thriving, I'm going to need you to give a fuck about mine. Uh, Girl, you don't give a fuck about hers, though. Why is she going to care about yours? You could care less if she got fired or not. You've been saying over and over again that she's brought nothing to the show. You know? What are you talking about? I'm going to need you to give a fuck about mine. Why was your job beholden on the Tom Sandoval Ariana scene? This is a producer problem. I'm so mad at Jeremiah and the way they forced this scene and told the cast, like, if they don't film this scene, we don't have a season or something. It's bullshit. It doesn't make any fucking sense. He can apologize on camera. So doesn't change anything. Oh my God. It's so bad. It's so bad. Okay, what else does she say? But Friday, I was frustrated that night, and I'm sorry if I hurt you, but I stand by what I said. So proud of herself. Lisa's like, let me translate this. So you're saying you felt let down by everybody because the true story that you were getting wasn't the true story they were filming. Yes, Lisa, that's what she's saying. I know that you're like a producer might be in her ear being like, we need to really spell that out for the audience. And Lala goes, it's difficult because I understood where Ariana was coming from. But I was like, why does she get to dictate how this goes down when I've never gotten to dictate? Yes, you fucking have. You have dictated what works for you. When you didn't want to show Randall, you didn't show Randall. When you didn't say his name, you didn't say his name. When you lied about the Range Rover, you lied about. Yes, you have. And so then Ariana responds, and it was just painful. I don't think I'm Beyonce. I don't think I'm God. Talking about sobbing on a regular basis. Yeah, I don't do it in front of Sheena. I do it on my own. The way she says that. Oh my God. And then she goes, and arguably, if you want to talk show and show terms, it was a lot more interesting me walking away than actually having that conversation. Was that not a better ending to your season to give you another season for another paycheck? Ooh. But then Lala, I'm interested in this line. She said, had I not spoken my mind, it would have ended with you walking out the door. Now, here's what I would love to say. You guys could have spoken your mind throughout the whole fucking season. You had all season to do that to her face. You waited till she was gone. So you also weren't filming authentically. I know you're trying to say that you would try to and no one would back you up, but like you didn't really. And the one conversation you did have with Sheena about Sheena, whatever, she listened to you. So you also were not living all authentically. Okay. The reason they gave us that ending is because you weren't living authentically on camera. And then they knew if they said let it out, that you'd let it out because that's what you were really feeling on the inside. Okay. Andy asked Lala what she meant about Ariana and Tom not being honest about their relationship. And then this is where Lala gets all pissed off. She's like, well, this is something I've heard multiple people here say. And Katie, she's trying to back up Lala. She goes, Tom said it himself. And then Lala goes, you have too. Katie, then they flash back to this like unseen footage or something from last season. Or maybe it was seen. I don't know. But it's Katie saying that they're not honest about their relationship, and Lala going, and why can't we talk about that? And that's just coming off the heels of him being like, you're not honest, Lala, whatever. So she was like eager to out them for not being honest because she's like, here he is preaching accountability and shit. But Katie is fucking done with this bullshit with Lala. She's like, stop acting like I'm lying. Okay? Stop acting like I'm fucking lying. And Ariana's mouthing or saying under her breath, we were in couples therapy. So, like, we were talking about it. Katie goes, I'm going to raise my voice so you can hear me loud and clear. Stop acting like I'm lying. Stop. It was powerful. But Katie in this her whole reunion look is just like, oh, to die. She is like, I may have seen some things over the years, but like then there were times where we were like all over each other in public. So Tom fucking whispers. That's like rolling at a music festival, though, you know? What the fuck does that mean? So are you really trying to say that your relationship was never good? That doesn't make you look good, Tom. Doesn't make you look good that you were in some relationship that appeared good and you also like, so you weren't like, what the fuck? I can't. I can't. Ariana goes, that's rude. Andy says to Sheena, Sandoval also said to you guys that over the years, it was him that went to your things and supported you off camera and not Ariana. Is that true? And Sheena goes, I don't think so. I think they've both shown up for me. Lala gets all pissed again. She gets up and she says that, Sheena, you have told me that off camera. Can we be done? I'm so done. Lala goes, you have stated many times that he has been a better friend to you than her. So that's different. Like it's clear. It is so fucking clear that the amount of shit you three have been talking is what Lala just wants that out there. And she goes, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not fun for me to look around and I'm the only one that's been honest. And now you want to sit here and talk to me about being honest? No one was saying that. Sheena's like, I haven't even finished talking. And Lala's like, you just denied it. He asked if there was an event that she didn't show up for. And you said no. Oh my God. Lisa tries to get her to sit down and Lala cries. Everyone wants to live their real life. I want to live my real life now. What does that mean? Live it. Live it. What are you talking about? She was like, let me finish talking. And then she goes, can I think of a specific event that Tom showed up for that Ariana didn't? Can I think of several events where I felt like Tom had my back and rode harder for me than Ariana? Yes. Andy goes, did you agree with what Lala was saying at the end? I would like to hear what Ariana has to say about that, by the way. But Sheena goes, I was very frustrated. So yes, I didn't want her to feel alone in that moment. And Lala goes, and let me be clear, I love Ariana, but I was so frustrated by the end of the season. Why? Why? When Ariana did show emotion, like when she was mad at Tom with the dog thing, you threw all this shit at her. Sheena goes, and that's what I'm saying. I was as well. Lala to Katie, and you have been frustrated with Ariana at times before Sandoval happened. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what's happened. Everyone's living in the comment section, but you have also expressed many times that there wasn't much being given before this happened. Katie says, well, there wasn't anything to give. And oh my God, Lala, oh my God. Katie goes, stop with this gotcha bullshit. Okay. And then Tom fucking chimes in and goes, and if you had abided by Ariana's rules, nobody would have ever filmed with me. Ariana goes, I never told anyone that there were rules about filming with him. That's a weird thing to say. You can tell Ariana didn't say you can't film because they were all filming, but you were worried about what you would film, Sheena. You were worried that they would make you do a scene where it's an apology scene. And that's because they were forcing those on you guys. They kept forcing it over and over again. And they got a bunch of scenes with Sandoval and he kept sticking his foot in his mouth. You kept trying to give him a redemption arc and he kept fucking it up. So, okay, Lala once again with the Katie stuff. She's like, you have expressed that you were mad at Ariana too. Over the years, you know, the shit you guys have all talked about each other. Do you want me to bring up the shit you said about Sheena? Lala? You want to bring that up? Let's pull all that out. You were fighting with Sheena for a couple seasons. So yeah, you've all said shit about each other. It's not that crazy. Then Andy does something that I was like, no, he didn't. He turns to Lisa and he says, when you left Beverly Hills, I was like, oh my God, he just said Beverly Hills here on the Vanderpump show. This is like they never let, this is, ooh. He says, when you had it with the other women, you made the choice to leave the show because you knew it would be expected of you to integrate with that group. And you said, I can't do it anymore. Lisa's like, fuck me, I really can't. When I left Beverly Hills, you go to the reunion with the intention to reunite. I did not want to reunite. I didn't want to see any of them again. If you want to fight because you think you can go forward, but if you want to say, I'm fucking done, then that's okay too. So you have a point, Lala, that maybe people haven't been exactly honest. But if Ariana is walking away, nobody can tell me she hasn't shown up. She has shown up. I was all, oh shit. Ooh, sip it. How did that feel, Lala? She just chucked you right under the bus. Lisa does this. She does all this shit behind, well, it's not even behind closed doors. She was doing it on camera. But I know she was talking mad shit about Ariana with Sheena and Lala. I know it. And now she's playing the, if she's given everything to the show and whatever. I could see it. Oof. Lala was like, wow, cool. So I basically did what you wanted us to do this season, and you're still going to do this. Cool, 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 cool. Lisa goes, if I had been in that situation, I wouldn't have shown up with my husband and his mistress or whatever. So yes, she has. Sometimes it's okay to walk away. My only words to Ariana would be say, maybe she should respond to people more, even when I'm texting and there seems to be no response. That makes them feel like you're separate from them. And I think you're loved. You're so very loved. Everybody felt your pain. They really did. Okay. She's like, I'm on to you. Ariana's like, okay. Andy then throws it to the group to see if there's anything else anyone wants to know about that ending. And Sheena goes, I'm curious, Ariana, if you understand why she was so frustrated in that moment. Ariana says, I understand the frustration. I don't understand the insults. And Lala says nothing. Andy sends them on a fucking break. And then Ariana's crying. Katie hugs her. Lala does not move. And Sheena walks over and ignores Ariana crying and just focuses on Lala, and goes, was there anything else I could have said? And Lala's like, no, I'm just upset. Like, why are you upset? What are you mad about? Everybody's on your side that you want on your side. What are you expecting Ariana to do? What do you? And then Ariana's hair ends up stuck in Katie's earring, and it's great. But Sheena and Lala completely ignore them. But what I would love is the audio from it's Brock, Sheena, and Lala talking over here. I want that audio. What the fuck were they saying? Because I can't believe they were just completely ignoring them. So the final thoughts are kind of as expected, go around final thoughts. But I didn't realize James has a Vegas residency. I don't know I don't know how I missed that. Congratulations. Schwartz does take his opportunity to remind everyone that he loves everyone here on stage. I love you. I know there's been a lot of talk about the show, but like, we are family, we are friends. Because Lala, Schwartz has already said this on Kristen's podcast, but he is a little concerned that I don't think he's articulating himself well, but I think he's concerned that what Lala's doing is really making it clear that this is just a business. And we can feel it too, The final toast is the something about her sandwiches, and they're brought up by Kyle Chan and Anne. And then Tom gets up and jokes he's like, hey, Anne, you're able to clean up after, right? She's just like, yeah. Like, she doesn't know he's kidding. He's like, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. She's like, get away from me. Of course, during all this, it's like the end, everyone's mingling around. Sheena's all worried that Ariana is mad at her. And Brock is like, you did the right thing. She's like, I just think she's so mad at me. Yeah. Yeah. She's probably not happy with you. You didn't even go over and hug her. You didn't even go over and check on her. Nothing. So then Lala in the dressing room, Lala's crying about Lisa defending Ariana. When at the season 9 reunion, I did not want to be grilled about my ex who did me fucking filthy, but instead I was greeted with, you lose them how you get them. And then you just now, Ariana got to walk away when she's uncomfortable. I'm creating life and I don't get to walk off the stage when I'm feeling uncomfortable. That's not true. You've walked off multiple times of a reunion set at least once. I know it was once, at least once. So there's that. I want to say it's even twice. Um, but she's trying to equate it. It's like, don't sit here and tell me it's equal playing fields when it's not. I'm like, but they're just different. You actually could have walked away, just so we're clear. You could have James walked out, even though they're like, James, stop. And by the way, when Ariana was walking out, they were asking her, stop, stop, stop. You could have just ignored everyone and just kept going if you really wanted to walk away that bad. But she says Lisa defending Ariana, like she was like, I caught as soon as Lisa said something nice about Ariana, I went, that was like a slap in the face to Lala. Lala goes like, I don't care if I hurt anyone's feelings. Ariana, I barely see, but Katie, I don't give a fuck. And I can't tell what Sheena's going to say here. Sheena says, well, she doesn't act like she gives a fuck about, was she going to say about you? Because then Lala goes, well, if she doesn't, then stop pretending then. Then Sandoval comes up to Lala and says, I fucking ride hard for you. You were fucking awesome. Respect, fucking respect, okay? That's right, Lala. That's who you've gotten respect from. Everything you're doing here, this is who respects you for it. This guy. Feel like you're in good company? No? Didn't think so. Okay. All right. So here's the issues now we have with how we move this group forward. I know people think the show's not coming back, and look, maybe it won't, but I can't imagine it won't. Because these people are still somewhat fascinating to us, and maybe we'll resist at first, but I'm sure we will watch, right? This is no longer a group of friends. This was at one point a big group of friends who worked in a restaurant, and it slowly changed. And the big group of friends was like the Sheena, Ariana, Tom, Rachel, but there was still a group of friends. Now everyone is so separated. So the show can't just be a docu-follow, I don't think. I feel like the show, if you follow these people around, then a docu-follow, by the way, is a type of reality show. But like, what are they going to follow around? You know, these people would never normally be together. Do we tell them to all like Sheena? If Sheena and Ariana need to figure it out, like, because they actually were friends. I think what's happening for Ariana is she's like, is she even my friend? I mean, she's family, but like, is she someone who I can have in my trusted circle anymore? Like, you grow out of friends. Ariana feels like she's totally grown out of the show. She really has. So if she left, I wouldn't be surprised. No, not I wouldn't be. I would be surprised because these are fat checks they're about to get to come and sign on for a 12th season. They all going to get money. Okay, so yeah, I don't know how we're gonna feel. I don't know how they're gonna do this show anymore. No one likes each other. You can maybe get away with like the Katie Schwartz connection, but if Sheena and Katie and Lala and Ariana aren't a core group, then what do we even have? James is DJing. So everyone is so disconnected. So like, what are you going to even follow if you bring the show back? So I don't know what it will look like. I wish I could say I trust that they'll give us something good because look what they did with this season. So I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't know. But I think that we need to change up production. Mage. Okay. You already know we are in the market for clothes all the time around here at She's Speaking with Emily Hanks, okay? Because I didn't buy clothes for myself for a very long time, and now I need all of the clothes. So if you invite me to something, I probably need to buy an outfit for it. I'm obsessed with Jenny Kane because Jenny Kane, it's a California brand through and through, very Jennifer Aniston energy, but they have this dress right now called the Callan dress. It is like, now I don't know how many people are going to get this reference, but this is like Marissa Tomei in Only You. It's effortless. It's sexy, but it's just classic. So I got to get that dress. I also need to stock up on some more of their sweaters. Jenny Kane is known for their sweaters. They also kind of give me Marissa Tomei and Only You. Marissa Tomei would throw that on to look effortless, like the Chloe crew neck. It's got this lightweight, just hugs you, but is cozy sort of vibe. They're all just super luxe, yet lightweight sweaters. They're perfect for spring and for summer because, you got those summer nights, a little tiny sweater over your Callan dress. The shoes, too. The Eve sandal is everything you could ever want in a classic spring shoe. Pairs with any outfit, any seasonal outfit. Jenny Kane does simplicity perfect. They focus on comfort. They focus on quality, timeless design. You can curate a wardrobe that never goes out of style. And also don't forget their home essentials, timeless furniture pieces, cozy pillows and throws, perfectly curated decor, and the most incredible candles. Plus, they have a rewards program where you can earn up to 10% back with every purchase, and joining is completely free. Find your new uniform at jennykane.com. Our listeners get 15% off your first order when you use code SHESPEAKS at checkout. That's 15% off your first order at jennykayne.com, promo code SHESPEAKS. Let getting dressed be one less thing you need to worry about. Embrace your summer aesthetic with Jenny Kane. Okay, now let's move on let's listen to Lala's podcast. This is what she had to say to the audience.
As you guys know, Vanderpump Rules season 11 has officially wrapped. It is bittersweet. Filming this season was bittersweet. Reliving it was, in my opinion, one of the most difficult seasons that I've ever had. I will say it's more difficult than filming the season that my dad had passed away. And I stopped talking about this season because I have to be honest, I was seeing things on socials. Just one sec.
She always cries.
That made me extremely angry. And it started making me resent an audience that I have loved and adored for many years. And it wasn't because of you guys talking about, I don't want to say you guys, but some of you. It wasn't about some of you talking about the season. That part I love. It was about the comments that were talking about me as a parent. I don't show Ocean on the show. I'm very protective of motherhood and Ocean and the bond that we have. She's a very, very special child, and she's always going to have the most.
Okay, I'm stopping it now okay. So this is her like apology to us or whatever the hell, because she had to address the fact that she was bawling out the audience, the very audience that she needs. So I don't think she remembers the words that come out of her own mouth, because she was saying that she was upset about the comments regarding the show. Excuse me. I have such a tickle in my throat. She was saying that prior to this moment here. She never once mentioned people coming after her parenting. When Easton said the thing, what did he say? The rape fans with rabies or get their rabies shots or whatever. They not one conversation was had about the parenting comments. But apparently now those were the ones that were the most upsetting. When I'm like, well, since when? You've never mentioned them until now. And if you had mentioned them, if you had said, I'm off social media because the comments about me as a parent are just too much. I'm not putting up with that. You can come after the show, whatever. But you were very much mad about the fan feedback about the show. And now you're changing it up. And then now you're talking about how you're protective of Ocean when I thought Randall just wasn't signing off on her doing the show. Isn't that what it was? I thought we all knew that. Didn't we all know that? I thought we all knew that that's what it was. So, what are you talking about?
Sacred, soft space in my heart because of what we went through together when she was 7 months old. Originally, me not being able to have her on the show was not my choice. Two parents have to sign off on a child appearing on TV, and the other side was not about it. And I felt like that was okay because I got to hold this part of my life so close to my heart. Then I see this season people really coming at me as a mother, something they really know nothing about. And I didn't feel like that was fair game. And because of these comments, it put me into a really, really dark space. And not only do I have to be a mother to Ocean, I want to be a mother to Ocean, but I'm also having to create a very safe space, my body, physically, mentally, emotionally, for the new baby that I'm creating. Everything on the show is fair game. If I wear something that you don't like, go in on it. If I say something that you don't like or you don't agree with, go in on it. I feel that me as a mother is completely off limits. And when I see people talking about something they know nothing about, my blood starts to boil. And I've made comments on this podcast, I'm sure you remember, that were not kind. And I think it's no secret that I react off of emotion most of the time. I have always been that way. It gets me into a lot of trouble. It puts me into hot water. It's also made me have to apologize more than anyone should have to. And not because of anybody else, but because I simply see something I don't like, hear something I don't like, and go for the jugular because I feel hurt. Now that I've had time to kind of process and get my thoughts in order and really be able to tell you guys that the comments that I was seeing that were so below the belt and out of pocket and having nothing to do with the season hurt me so much that I had to just fall off the map. And usually my reality and my reality, they can coexist. This was the first season in my 8 years of doing the show that my reality and my reality could not coexist. They had to be so separate that if one touched the other, it took me out. So what I want to do right now is focus on the facts of things.
Okay, this part.
My feelings are not facts. But what I can tell you is this show is based on perspective. That's a fact.
What?
The cast is going to have a perspective. The audience is going to have a perspective. Sometimes we're going to be in alignment. Other times we're going to make no sense to each other. And that's okay. Because the cast having an opinion allows us to make a show.
What are you talking about?
And the audience having an opinion allows us to make a show. The combination of those two things has allowed Vanderpump Rules to be a successful show for the past 11 years.
Okay.
Fact. I want you guys to know that This show is something I am extremely grateful for. It has allowed me to live a life that I really would sit at home in Utah and dream about.
Mm-hmm.
I love making this show. The opportunities that have come along with it, it's not lost on me that the show got me the opportunities, but not only the show, you guys watching the show, you tuning in, you giving a shit about the show. I am able to provide a beautiful life for not only myself, but my family because of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that is fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an opinion. So if I at any point in time have said something on this podcast that made you feel that I am not grateful, I hope you know that that was coming from a place of just true hurt. And I think you've seen that side of me many times on Vanderpump Rules, where I attack off of being hurt. So I just wanted to thank you guys for being an incredible audience for the past 8 years of my life on Vanderpump Rules. You guys have given me a life that I dreamed of since I was a little kid. And I really, really hope, even though we did not see eye to eye this season, that you guys enjoyed season 11 and know that I'm really grateful for you.
What it's giving is we got the results back from like our test audience scores, and your approval rating is terrible, Lala. Absolutely terrible. So there's no spinoff. There's whatever the hell she thought she was getting, not happening. And it's official. I have the hiccups. They're not joining the Valley. Sheena and Lala are not. Alex Baskin said it himself. Not happening. Speaking of Alex Baskin, he did an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. So we're going to go through it. When was this released? 2 days ago, May 28th. So in general, they're very like kind of corporate answers, it feels, from like the Vanderpump machine that it's become. Because they're like, we talked to you at the beginning of the season. How do you follow up Sandoval? Now that you're at the end, how do you think it measured up? And he's like, it was a really hard season. It was the hardest to make. And I think it's a super powerful end of the reunion. And there are a lot of unanswered questions that are playing out in real time. What? But that's very corporate, right? Very corporate answer. What surprised you the most about what the audience reacted to this season? He says, we weren't terribly surprised by the audience's reaction, but what they saw play out was completely real. You see that we really are documenting the relationships of a group of people. And as much as you may want to move on and move forward in the timeline of watching a show, you have to respect where everyone is coming from. But that's not what you guys did to Ariana. The group went into the season with really challenged, damaged relationships, and you saw what happened when they got together. The audience also shifted a little over the course of the season. At first, they were frustrated that we weren't just moving on from this. And by the end, they were more understanding of where Ariana and Katie were coming from. But I think no, we started out that way. What are you talking about? But I think the passion that the audience has is a testament to the show and the blah, blah, blah. And then the cast was also tough on Ariana. This is the question. The cast was also tough on Ariana about moving on after her partner, Tom Sandoval's affair was exposed. He says, this group has been through so many situations and scandals between them already. I'm not happy about where this is going. Here we go. I think it's tough for some of them to appreciate that this is different. For who? For who? Who's the, a lot of them who, by the way, no, but seriously, who? James doesn't think that. Ariana doesn't think that. Katie doesn't think that. Lala didn't think that. Sheena didn't think that. So who? I think it's tough for some of them to appreciate. A lot of them had their own experience with moving on from something that was really difficult. And I say that in the context of their lives and the show, because they are one and the same with this group. So I think that's why they struggled with this. And I also think the intensity of the audience's reaction was difficult. See, now they're mad at the audience. See that? Now they're like, let us just make a show. Stop having opinions that are different than ours. We're trying to make a Sandoval redemption season. You're making it really confusing for us, audience. Part of what you see, this is still Alex, part of what you see at the reunion is they all feel as though they were castigated by the audience to some extent for expressing what they did. It was difficult to have a viewpoint that was contrary. And then there is a really meta conversation we've gotten into about what it means to do the show, your real life versus what you see. It's an interesting dialogue at the reunion where you have one group that is saying, if you sign up to do this, then you have these interactions that become your real life, versus the other side saying, no, I'm signing up to be who I am and to do it in a way that feels right and authentic. That doesn't that that seems like it should be the same thing. But we as producers are always saying we don't force people to do things they don't want to do. And that's what you saw. We cannot force group harmony or even group interaction. It's a collection of people who are proceeding through this in a way that reflects who they are and where they are in their lives. You know, Alex, you gotta shut your This is not okay. Talk about your decision to intentionally hold back the final moments of the finale and have them all watch it together during the reunion. Alex says, I thought that was the way to go about this. First of all, not every cast member has been watching the show. I knew that was why, you guys. So I thought it was very important to make sure they saw it. I also thought there would be a visceral impact if they had to experience it together on the stage. And that if they all had to see it all at once, that it was something they couldn't talk about before they were there. Okay, fair. So I thought everyone, well, they also, anyway, so I thought everyone would be held accountable for what they said. And then the editorial team did such a wonderful job with the montage and brought us back to prior seasons that it sort of had chills. When we were watching from the control room, we all got chills. It was a super emotional and a really charged moment. That it was. Okay, there isn't an official renewal yet on season 12. And because that finale was such an emotional look back, people are wondering if it could be the end of the show. Was that the intent? He says, no, there's been speculation. People have written the show's final chapter many times, and the show has continued. So just because it's a reflective moment that clearly marks the end of one chapter does not necessarily mean that it is the end of the show. I realize that I could just tell you guys to read this. I'm reading this to you like it's a fucking book report. I'm so sorry. He says, you see, there is still a lot of fertile ground and developments in their lives. Okay, cool. So he says that it could work. Andy Cohen explained why the show is taking a pause and not filming this summer, and Lisa Vanderpump called it a hiatus. Cohen said they often do this with Real Housewives shows to give the cast a breather to live their lives. Ariana is also hosting Love Island this summer, among other things. Are you taking a risk by giving the cast space? Some of them may not return. And Alex says, we thought the break was the way to go because, to your point, we would have to run this back again fairly quickly. And it's clear that everyone needs time to reset. Fair. And we do that, as you said on the other shows. I think we're going to take a full look at what the group looks like in a period of time and figure out what we want to do next. And that may mean that certain people have to make decisions as well. We don't want anyone to do the show if it doesn't make sense for where they are now. Doesn't this feel like it's directed at Ariana? Typically, we've shot in the early part of July around there, so we would be in pre-production basically starting next week, and I don't think that would be great. I don't think that would have been enough time. So I think we as a show will gather ourselves and look at what we want to do, and that will be informed by what everyone is individually doing or wants to do. And then we'll figure out what the path is going forward. How do we feel about that? It sounds like they don't. I just feel everything to me feels like it's directed at Ariana. Am I just being paranoid? If everything, everything he says, maybe because they're asking. The next question is, what have your conversations been with Ariana about returning? She recently said that she has to see if a return makes sense. And he says, we're respectful of her determining whether this makes sense for her. We're still figuring out exactly what it is that we plan to do. And that will in part be informed by our conversations with all cast members, including her. Okay, I'm just telling you. She's focused on a lot of other things right now, so we can have those conversations, but she's busy. She opened up something about her and she's doing Love Island and she's going back to Broadway. So I think it's hard to get too heavily involved in conversations before you're talking about something that is a little bit more serious and concrete. Huh. He's being very careful with his words. He's not saying we want her. He's saying we want her back, right? Is that what he's saying? But no, he's saying we're determining if it makes sense for her. Hmm. He says, but look, if we were to have come back in the summer, she's booked and busy and good for her. What's that line mean? So if we were to come back in the summer, she wouldn't have been able to do it, right? And good for her. That's cute. Good for her. If season 12 does end up being a reset, could you go down could you see the show go on with some version of this cast? Maybe not all of them and maybe some new faces to shake things up. He says, I think that's definitely possible. I think all things are possible. There's still a strong core there, so I could totally see some version of the bulk of the cast returning and then some notable additions. Huh. I think there's plenty of life, whatever form that takes. I don't know exactly, but that's certainly very possible. The audience is never privy to the cast post reunion comments. That's not true. Lala Kent, after the reunion, sounded like she may be reevaluating. Is this typically how they sound after a reunion? Alex basically says, yeah, pretty much. We'll call her. He's like, we'll see. He's like, I get a lot of I'm quitting after reunions. So don't worry about it. Ariana was in a much different place this reunion compared to last year. Watching her reaction to the final moments of the episode and telling Tom Sandoval she just wants him out of his life, what change have you seen in her? He says last reunion was after she very recently discovered the whole clandestine affair that took place. So you saw her show up to the reunion in a revenge dress, and part of her moving on from all of this was just showing up that day and facing it all down. And I think she was incredibly brave and strong to do so. And then a year later, she's been through a lot. I think she was not completely over it because, as you noted, this was only a couple months later. But I think she was emerging from the cocoon. That's what you saw. Hmm. She has accomplished a tremendous amount personally and professionally over the year. And I think she is in a completely different place. She has a bunch of new opportunities, and she's going to have to figure out what she wants to prioritize, where her time and energy is going to go, and whether it makes sense for her to continue. And I think a lot of that will depend on where she is in a few months and then what the outlook is from there. So she's holding a lot of power, and I can tell they don't like it. The way he's talking, he's like, this bitch pisses me the fuck off. What? I love Ariana. Lisa Vanderpump related how she walked away from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills to Ariana when telling her that sometimes walking away is what someone needs to do. That's the most we've seen her open up about her exit. He goes, that's how raw the end of the reunion was. It made everyone on stage take stock of where they are and what they've been through, but they're also very different experiences. One of them was sharing a stage with someone who did something she simply cannot move on from and cannot forgive. And another was Lisa just feeling like she didn't want to be in a situation with a group of friends at that point in her life. So that's funny because Alex is notoriously tight with Rinna. And so it's funny that this is his view of this because they also fucking hated Lisa for not coming back and filming. They hated it. So very meta on one hand, but I also think it's really important for explaining where everyone was coming from emotionally. There's where you are in your life and where you are on the show. And for Ariana, the tough thing is that in her life, she was trying to move on from Tom and then she was a part of a show where she came into contact with him regularly, whereas Lisa was just ready to cut that group out of her life, and that just meant leaving the show. So Ariana was more entangled. Okay, he gave her a little bit of something, I think. Okay. Let's see. What else do we care about? This part. The finale and reunion blew through the fourth wall. Does it make you nervous or excited that the show can blur that line more now? Now, remember, what I was saying is I think it would be great if they could make the show about doing the show, but he says it explicitly. We are not going to go down that path. He's like, so there were extraordinary circumstances. So we'll continue to break the fourth wall where we need to in order to tell the real story. But I don't anticipate us heading down the path where the show is about being on the show. We want to stay grounded in the show being about everyone's shared experience together as a group of friends. But there was no other way of doing it because fundamentally, this is what Ariana was talking about. She was saying, this is my life. This person is not in my life. And the argument on the other side was, well, actually, you've chosen to continue on the show, so he is in your life. You had to give voice to both those things. But I do hope we veer back to the more conventional way we made the show, where the focus is on what happens between them and not their existence on a show together. Well, too bad, buddy. That's what we feel like. They're not going to, they don't hang out. They don't hang out in real life. They're not friends. So how the fuck are you going to make a show about that then? Without talking, I cannot with these people. I cannot. Alex Baskin, he said, have you tried something about her sandwich yet? No. Whether Ariana returns or not, is there more to mine from Tom Sandoval, or do you think he has run his course? Guess what he says, guys? Just take a wild guess. I think there is a lot of story left to tell. It's tough. We'll see where he goes from here. He's in a new relationship. He's touring with his band. I think he's figuring out what his life looks like here. I don't know what exactly that means. Look, he's someone who provokes a strong reaction as anyone right now. But it seems there's a continual interest in what he's doing. I wouldn't say he's run his course. Of course not. You gambled and made him your star. So how could you not say that? Then they talk about Tom some more. When would you say you have a timeline on when you will start making some decisions on season 12? He says, we don't. It's indefinite, but at the same time, we're not under any version of the ticking clock. I imagine we'll know more later in the fall. Could you ever imagine Vanderpump ending here? No. On the one hand, I can't believe it's been 11 years. On the other hand, it feels like it's been 111 years. That show has lived many lives, so I'm not sure this is the last one, but it certainly to date has been a hell of a run. How are the ratings? Really strong. That's what I was saying. You launched a spinoff of The Valley. I don't really care to hear what he says talking about that. Do you foresee a similar conflict with Jax and Brittany on The Valley, or do you think they will be able to keep filming together? It's a little different. And he says that. Tom and Ariana were extreme. That's different. It's very different because Jax and Brittany, among other things, they share a child. There you go. So they're more connected. What are your future plans for The Valley? We're very encouraged by the debut. Yes, you should be. I think it's established itself in its own right. I know there's a ton of speculation about Vanderpump transfers over to The Valley, but that cast is pretty full right now. I would imagine you'll continue to see crossover like you have, but that cast is bursting at the seams. It's not like we're in need of additional cast members. A bloop, bloopity bloop, a bloop, bloopity bitty bloop. And then he goes into Beverly Hills. I kind of don't give a shit about Beverly Hills. I'm not going to lie. Anything they say about Beverly Hills, I'm like, sure, yeah, whatever. He claims it's off to a good start in filming and that Kyle and Dorit will be discussing their relationship. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. Okay, that's enough of that. That's enough of that Variety article. We got enough. We got the gist. We know what's happening over there. Now let's talk about. I was going to play the clip from the something about her the podcast with Ariana and Katie, but I'm going to just summarize it now that I'm here because I already kind of talked a little bit about it. Ariana was like, look, people were bummed I didn't watch the show or watch the season so that I could have come into the reunion guns blazing. But I am just at the point in life where I'm not going to yell and scream and correct you and try to tell you you're wrong. You know, if you have that opinion of me at this point in my life, have it. Uh-oh. That's way too like evolved, you know. To be on reality TV, you have to just kind of stay a mess. So you might just be too evolved for this shit now. And Katie then even says, she's like, I'm not going to scream over people. If you're not going to let me talk, I got like Schwartz coming at me, Sheena coming at me. If you're not going to let me talk, then I'm not going to try to talk louder just to prove a point. And I'm not going to drudge up something from months ago just because now we're filming the season. And now I'm like, oh, actually from 6 months ago, I was upset about this. I can talk about that now on um, on the season. Yeah, we can have that conversation. That makes sense to me. She's like, that's not how I am. She says, I've never done anything specifically like just for the show. And Ariana goes to say, oh yeah, me neither. But then she goes, well, I did have that one fake fight. And I'm like, what fake fight? I wish they had asked what she meant by that, what she was referring to. Ariana does admit, she's like, there have been times where it's like we do it up a little bit more for the cameras. And I'm thinking, okay, so this is just showing you that you were friends with Sheena and Tom, and Katie was friends with Kristen and Stassi, who never needed to do anything for the show. They just existed and they were like that. Although I feel like Stassi kind of her last season, she was a little performative. It doesn't matter, regardless. But essentially, both these two queens didn't seem to really give a shit about what Lala and Sheena had to say. And it's like no love lost, it feels like, which is kind of dangerous for a cast that's going to need to stay, according to Alex Baskin, a group of friends. But they were just very above it. But she Ariana and I really do think that they're doing this because they don't want to give Lala the headlines and the attention. But Lala is so confused all of a sudden. So confused by how this works. It's like, you don't go in and sabotage a person. If I'm genuinely upset about something, I will address it, but I'm not going to like talk about that as my storyline. So Lala just got all confused. But yeah, these two queens, like they gave the trolls nothing. And by trolls, I mean Lala and Sheena. Sorry, but they're giving troll energy. But yeah, it was kind of a letdown because I was really wanting one of Ariana's amazing reads, where she just from top to bottom can do it just effortlessly without like breaking a sweat. But she was like, nope, not going to do any of that. I'm not going to, because you really do kind of make yourself crazy repeating the same shit. I have felt crazy recapping this season. I'm like, we have done this over and over again, for crying out loud. I've said the same thing over and over again. Okay. Um, the never before or the secrets revealed. There were definitely a couple more moments in this they didn't make me go, oh, like that's different. More like, oh, that really was what you guys were talking about on camera. Um, like when Lisa goes over to James's house. I'll get to that one. The first scene that comes up is Sandoval is like asking Anne, he's up in the workout room and he's like, has Ariana mentioned the house? And he's about to read the email he sent her. But he's like, is she home? Is she home? He's like, guys, no, seriously, is she home? She can hear me. So here's the email he sent. I will give you $600,000 cash based on the math. This is a buyout that is equivalent to us selling the property for $3.1 million, which is way above Zillow and Redfin value and definitely above market value. So she was right. There was just like, here's this amount of money. I have not really checked into it. I looked on Zillow what the house would be, but there you go. There's 600. That's exactly it. And then Tom says to Anne, refinancing this house and pulling her name off the loan, this goes from being a $10,000 a month payment to a $20,000 a month payment. So he knew he was trying to keep her on the fucking loan. Anne goes, you can afford that? He says, for about 6 to 8 months. So you couldn't. And you were truly desperate to keep the house. You were so desperate to hold on to it that you were going to have Schwartz just move in. You're a joke. You are pathetic. Then he says, I got myself into this mess. I just wish we could go back. Wish we could go back. I'm like, to what part? To literally what part? I don't know what that meant. To what? Okay, then there's a scene. I'm not going to go into all of the scenes. There's a scene where Lala, Ariana, and Katie babysit Summer, which is cute. And then the scene where Lisa goes to James's house just to see the house and for he cooks dinner. It's so cute. He cooks pasta. But then James tells Lisa about his conversation. This is the conversation he had with Sandoval at Tom's birthday when Tom had James show up and like wait for a second. And then James like, can we fucking talk? Like, what are you doing? And Lisa is like, because he's like, this guy is not, whatever. James like complains about it. And Lisa goes, I mean, he's been through a hell of a lot. Now, does he deserve some of it? Of course he does deserve a good kick in the ass. And James goes, I know, Lisa, but I was willing to do. And she goes, now look, we're all human. Okay. We all do fuck up. At some point, we've got to have empathy. What? You were, bitch. I think if you ever get it across to him how badly you were hurt and he's still acting like an arrogant little prick, you say, I did everything I could. So you put it all on James then. You put it all on fucking James you're such a, oh my God, this is so manipulative. And James like, but I'm not going to be that little kid that just says yes to everything he says anymore. I don't need him. I got everything I need. And she's like, this isn't going to work for the plan we've discussed, which is getting Sandoval back in the group and proving Ariana's the problem. There's a scene where Sheena and Ariana go to Stretch Lab. And I remembered them bringing up Stretch Lab at something. I can't remember what. And Sheena brings up this being good for Dancing with the Stars prep. And Ariana's like, yeah, I'm so nervous. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy that they're talking about it. And Ariana's like, can you come every night? And then Sheena's confessional is, I'm used to this, coming second, third, fourth in this group. But then I just remind myself, it's not personal. Let her live her life and thrive. And it is what it is. Okay. It's not personal at all. Like, I get that you wanted to be on Dancing with the Stars, but Ariana got it for obvious reasons. Whatever. I can't relitigate this. All right, there's a scene with Lala and Easton and Sheena. They go to some non-alcoholic shop that have like tequila and vodka or whatever, which I actually kind of think that'd be cool to make a dirty martini with no alcohol. All right, another scene. Tom and Tom go house shopping. And then there's a scene after the beach party day and they go to Sheena's. With Allie goes over to Lala and she's like, I think I'm going to stop sharing my location with Sheena. Sorry. It's just really funny that it's like now everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna have her looking at my location randomly, spying on me. Allie's like, yeah, no, I'm good. Let me see. I don't want to keep telling these stories. There's nothing really that interesting. There's a scene where we get more from this like Tori situation. And I genuinely don't care anymore. I'm so glad that just was like fizzled out and was done. But this scene ends with Sheena talking about how Tom was upset about apples. And Katie is just like, who cares what he thinks? Why are you so concerned? Like, yeah, dude, it's about you. You're a loser. And Sheena's like, oh, I don't want to think that. And Lala and Sheena, it's like Lala and Sheena on one side, Katie and Ariana on the other. And they're like, no, producers don't like it. They're getting mad when you say mean things about Tom. Don't be so mean to Tom. Why are you protecting Tom? What the fuck? Okay, there's a scene where the Toms, Kyle, and someone else, they go to dinner. And Schwartz puts Sandoval on the spot, you guys. Spot. He goes, how many people have you had sex with since Rachel? And Sandoval takes a minute to think about it. And Schwartz is like, oh, wow, that many? He goes, no, I'm thinking about it if I want to be honest. So then he says 3, which makes me think, so 7? Like, I don't trust anything that comes out of your mouth. Sandoval has the server, because there's some caviar place, feed him caviar. Feed him with the spoon. And then she's like, I've never done this before, but okay. It was sick. He's like, will you feed it to me? Then he goes and hits on her over at the bar, gives her his Instagram, or gets her Instagram rather. And then he starts going into he's like, yeah, so like I had an affair basically, and it blew up and it was on the news everywhere. And like, it's crazy. I'm not even that famous. This, I don't know. I can't like this. Okay, I can't. I cannot. That man. Okay, this was a very long episode to record. We had a lot to cover. I hope I didn't miss anything. If I did, please let me know and I can get to it next week. And like I said, next week I will be doing 2 episodes of The Valley because The Valley is having its finale, which I cannot believe we're not going to get a freaking reunion. That's such a bummer. But anywho, after that, I'm going to work on some programming. I'm figuring out how I'm going to rework things. But we will have Orange County coming up in the near future. But I'll figure out what I'm going to cover. I'll cover some stuff. I've got some stuff already requested, so I'm batting through what I'm going to do. But okay, all right, guys, love you so much, mean it, and I will see you soon.
Thanks for tuning in to She's Speaking with Emily Hanks. This show is produced, hosted, and edited by me, Emily, and brought to you in partnership with Cloud 10 Media. If you are looking for bonus content, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. To show some support, you can hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Another free way to support the pod, please rate and/or review on whatever platform you listen. It's free, and it helps the algorithm or something. You could also head to buymeacoffee.com/shespeaks and buy me a coffee or 2. Make sure you're following me on all social medias. I am She's Speaking with Emily Hanks across all platforms: Threads, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. That's it. Thank you guys. See you soon.